Hi YouTube. So I'm out here today because I promised you that I would do a video on like politics, a little small civics lesson. So this is going to be a very short video, 3-4 minutes or whatever, 5 minutes tops. But it's not going to take that long because it's going to be very basic. I'm not going to get into anything detailed when it comes to politics. It's just going to be a very rudimentary lesson in how our political system works, because I don't think some people know just the basics, and to be totally honest with you, it's a lot that I still need to research and fully understand. So I'm gonna tell you what I do know, because I got my notes right here for things that I don't remember. But I'm gonna tell you what I do know. I do know, okay? I do know that the Congress, okay, we have our Congress, and our Congress is responsible for writing and debating and passing laws. So our Congress is made up of the House of Representatives and the Senate, okay? So elected officials in the House of Representatives are called congressmen or congresswomen. And elected officials and the Senate, of course, are called senators. Okay? And those two things, the House of Representatives and the Senate, make up the Congress. Now, the House of Representatives right now is being controlled by the Democrats. And so I believe they have, let me look, 435 seats. And because the Democrats are in the majority, is because they take up 233 seats compared to 197 seats that the Republicans have. Anything left over is like independent, libertarian, or something like that. But I'm just going to focus on Republicans and Democrats. Now, the Senate only has 100 seats. And the Republicans control the Senate because they take up more seats. And right now, the Senate has 53 seats, which is why they're in the majority, as opposed to 47 seats occupied by Democrats. And I know a lot of people know that part because we're going through this right now when it comes to the stimulus package. So we already know that the House of Representatives passed the HEROES Act. And that's because it's controlled mostly by the Democrats. So they put out the HEROES Act 2 months ago. So now we're waiting on the Senate, which is controlled by the Republicans, to come up with their stimulus package, which we hope will contain direct payments to us like they did prior. So, and the negotiations with that should start next week. Okay, so we got the House of Representatives, and we have the Senate that make up the Congress. Now, you want to think of the levels of politics like a wedding cake, and I got this from online. I think it's a book, Politics for Dummies. You can probably get it on. If you care to go into real detail, you can get it on Amazon. But the author said, think of it as a wedding cake. Okay, the smallest part is up top, then it gets bigger, then the third layer is usually a lot bigger. That's because it's more elected officials. So you got the federal at the very top, which is your small portion of the cake. Okay, and that's your federal judges. That's your executive branch, which is the president and the vice president. Then you have your middle layer of the cake. It's a little bit bigger. All right, these are the middle layer of the cake is like your appellate court judges and your senators. Okay, the bottom layer is your local government. Your local government is your city commissioners, your state reps, your mayors. Okay, and it's a lot more of these elected officials. That's why they occupy the bottom layer, the third layer of the cake. Now, you've heard a lot about Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell is a Republican from the state of Alabama, and he is the majority Republican lead, which means the Republican Party chose him to be the spokesperson, so to represent their issues. So every time there's a press conference or anything like that, you're going to hear something from Mitch McConnell. Now, then you have Nancy Pelosi, and let me see, Nancy Pelosi, I wrote down what her, Nancy Pelosi is the Speaker of the House, and she's a Democrat out of California, and her job is, based on my understanding from what I read, her job is basically keeping things together, keeping things organized, keeping things running, keeping things moving. So you'll hear her just make a lot of suggestions. Not that she has like the power, but like when she was talking about how the Senate shouldn't have took a break, they should have withheld their break and stayed to discuss the stimulus package. This was just something she would have liked for them to do. She don't really have the power to make them do it, because as you all know, they're still out on break, and they'll be back next week, and that's when they'll start to talk about the stimulus package, which again, as Americans, we hope that this includes a direct payment for us, and many people are hoping that this includes a $2,000 a month for a few months, even though within the HEROES Act they said $1,200, but it'd be $1,200 for everybody in the family, as opposed to the last direct payments was $1,200 and then $500 for each dependent. So that's, listen, that is my kindergarten version of the politics. Okay, you got your House of Representatives, you got your Senate, make up the Congress. You got the cake, which is the federal, state, local level. You have the Speaker of the House. You got the Republican majority lead. You have the primaries, which are rolling around in people's states. And basically, when you go to elect in the primaries, you're picking who you want to represent in the general election. And we know the general election will take place in November. So the primaries is you picking who you want that person to be. And so right now, most people are picking Biden. If you don't like who's on the ballot, and if the person isn't on the ballot, you get to write a person in. So like Kanye West, for instance, is wanting to run for president. He has to be written in because he missed the deadline to be able to be placed on the ballot. So that's it. That's all I can think of. I'm pretty sure it's something like, oh, I forgot to tell him this, but oh well. Like I said, you can get the politics for dummies, but this is just my basic knowledge of what I think everybody should know, and that's why they're saying your local government is more important, because, like I said, these are your state reps, these are your mayors, and a lot of times you have your state reps in your neighborhood. They are located, their offices are located in your neighborhood, in your zip code. That if you want to see some kind of change, these are the offices that you contact before you contact the city or mayor, or before you contact the senator, or before you contact the congressperson. You have a state rep in your neighborhood that you can, and usually what I suggest is I'm on the email list for everybody, the state rep, the senator, the congressperson. So any program that comes in through my neighborhood, I know, because I get an email. Anything that they have at a playground, or anything that they have for children, or anything that they have for seniors, I know about that program because I'm put on their email list. So that would be my suggestion for anybody, especially going through this pandemic. If you need to know about food banks, if you need to know about if SNAP benefits are going to extend, or if you need to know about if your taxes information, where they're doing free taxes in your neighborhood, you need to get on the mailing list with your local city officials. Okay? So I'll talk to y'all. I'll talk to y'all soon. Now they say that if you're, and I'm nowhere near it, but they say if your video is at least 10 minutes long, I think once it's eligible for like monetization, because right now I'm at 9 minutes and 45 seconds, your video has to be at least 10 10 minutes long for you to get extra money or something like that. So I'm just bull crapping and talking to you. And okay, 10:01. All right, got to go. Talk to y'all later. Bye.